I have with you the transformer of pedals. This is, I've been spending, and I have a crazy story about this pedal. This is the EDP 300 Premier. This is the left side. Check that out. Look at that. It's like a transformer. This pedal, it's direct drive. Obviously, you see this, right? This is the left side. This pedal was made, came out in 1997. The peak, in my opinion, of Premier drums. They had the Genesas, the Signias. Premier was on the board with a lot of stuff. In the 80s, they had the resonator shells, which really made a lot of headway. Maybe 80s, late 80s. Big hair bands were using Premier. Notably, Rod Morgenstein had a drum head endorsement, had his own signature heads from Premier. Premier was just... I have a Premier Genista kit from the 90s. I love it. And the older Premier stuff is great too. This pedal was made in the peak of Premier in the 90s. Premier has gone through so many things. It's kind of sad with World War II. I mean, just their original, I think it was World War II, their original factory got bombed. They relocated. It's changed hands it seems like 1,000 times. For at one point you were like, is Premier still around? And now Premier is around, and they're making a comeback, and I just wish the best for them, because Premier, like I said, I have my kit. I've used it 1,000 times on recordings, gigs, concerts, practice. It's been across the Atlantic Ocean 4 times. It's been down to the Bahamas. It's been to Vermont. It's been up and down the East Coast. It's awesome. I've customized it since then, but it's awesome. But getting to this pedal, Premier, check it out. EDP 300. It's like the transformer pedal to me. Just look at this. It just looks amazing. They have a plate that you can put under here, like a circle, that is very, very, that evokes very much what sonar would later do, having a circle, a sphere right here. Not a sphere, but a disc, It's exactly the same kind of approach. This thing is great in so many ways, and it has some colossal flaws. And I think that if Premier were to bring it back, they could definitely be a contender with the high-end direct drive pedals. But I think they're trying to get their bearings after all of the other stuff that's happened to them, and trading CEO seats, and they just passed their 100th anniversary of the company being in business. So they're on their up and up. I would seriously suggest checking them out. But like I said, this one would definitely be a contender for the direct drive pedals, with a few modifications. I have made some modifications, and those of you who know what this pedal is will already be seeing those modifications. One of the major flaws with this, when it first came out, it was a cool idea. It really was cool, and it's understandable why they did this. They had, right here where the spring is, right here, instead of a spring, they had basically an unbelievably strong piece of rubber. I mean, really, really, really strong, the idea was good. And if I was an engineer back then, I'd probably say, well, hey, we use rubber stuff all the time in cars and gaskets, but rubber, it wears down, and it's you can just see somebody going over, being mean, and cutting it with scissors or something, you know, something stupid like that. But anyway, the idea with rubber is that as long as you use it, it stays, it holds its thing. When you stop using it, it gets dry and it starts to crack. Which I could probably, if I tried my hardest, yeah, it's already cracking. You can see it. So this was originally, I have the real one. No, I don't. So you can look. You can see the cracks a little bit. See, there you go. You got a good crack right there. So this was it was originally like a T. Like it came up, it was a T, and it came down, and it kind of like, it got like, it just stuck into this position right here. And then they changed that, and they made it like this. So it just kind of, with 2 screws held in place. And obviously, it being rubber, it was completely silent. And you could buy these, you know. You buy these and just put them on. But I think drummers like their springs and their screws. And it didn't fly. And I think, and they didn't push. I don't know. I was too young at that time. I mean, I was in 1997. I was 17. I mean, I think I saw a picture of Rod Morgenstein and Omar Hakim, or maybe Morgenstein. He was holding it up. Anyway, that's basically the big flaw with this. It was this thing right here, which I, since then, in 2 minutes, if you know how to use a screw and a spring, in 2 minutes, you go, well, I'll just take that piece of rubber off and put the spring on. And lo and behold, it works. And it works beautifully. It works beautifully. The only thing that it doesn't have is now a lock system that you have with Tama and Pearl. Everybody has their own. Pearl would because Tama depends on an actual male-female entry inside the frame. If I'm correct on that. No. They have a part that goes over top of this little lip here. Right there. Goes like that. And it has a female part that accepts the male triangular part of the, the nut that turns into the triangular female part. So you can't do that here. You might get away with it if you cut that down. But without having to do absolutely anything, you could just get the Pearl version, which is basically this, but there's a piece of metal that comes down and it clicks right over top of a larger nut, plastic, that has ridges, and it won't move. So that's all you would need to do. I think I might even have one downstairs. Anyway, so that's it. That's the only thing. I don't have those. In the meantime, I just put on 2 basic. There's actually a Pearl bottom right there. It looks like one. It has the ridges. So it would come down and grab a hold of that. Anyway, so I put springs on, and this one was the one that came with it, and it looks like a heavier duty spring. And I want to say that no, there isn't. But usually with springs of this nature, where it tapers in like that, it's a telltale sign of a more durable, heavier spring. And they usually have a piece of cotton in there or something inside to keep it from squeaking when you play. Other than that, these beaters absolutely are terrible. It's a very minor flaw, but you see how one, so I guess this part right here will pop off. It's a good idea. I mean, it does look cool. You get the it does look cool. I can see the letter P there too, but it didn't fly in the long run. But that's really not that big of a deal. What's really important is this bar here. If it bends, that's really cheapo, and these don't seem to be doing that. I don't know. I'm gonna have to take those off anyway. But what is oh, so there's this thing, which was rubber, which is now fixed. No problem. So you'd say, well, hey, this is an unbelievably hybrid, like futuristic pedal. Why didn't it fly? I mean, drummers are smart. They know how to, we deal with nuts and screws and bolts and all that stuff all the time. We'd be able to fix that in a second and say, well, sure, for a direct drive pedal of this kind of quality, let's go for it. Well, there was something else. And this is the crazy story with this pedal. This pedal, and I think ultimately this is what did it. It was the kicker. You have down here, I don't know why they did this, but down here you have a very interesting system to get the pedal on the bass drum hoop. You'd say, I can hear yourself like, why would you even think about like changing that, Anyway, so here's the idea. Oh, is it downstairs? I think I left it downstairs. Pause! So, back. This baby. Now, here goes the story. It's crazy. So, I needed this part. Now, this is the way this works. This part basically clamps onto your pedal. You put the pedal, let's say this is sandpaper, who gives a crap. Let's say this is the wood. Goes over top of that, of your rim, and then you tighten this down, like this. And that part stays on your bass drum hoop. And it never moves. So the idea is this part stays on your hoop, you put it in your bag or your case, it stays on there, it doesn't move. This part, which is in the pedal, basically like scoops it up like this. You can see it goes like this, and it sits down perfectly. Really, I just popped it over, but you gotta remember, there would be a bass drum right here. I wouldn't be able to do that. It sits down perfectly to the millimeter. I don't know what is smaller than a millimeter. But anyway, it fits perfectly. And there is an Allen wrench right in there, right? You see it? Or you could tighten it down if you wanted to. You don't need to though, because the weight of the bass drum combined with the stability, unbelievable stability of this pedal, means that it's not moving. So this part is on the bass drum. Technically speaking, now that I think about it, you could always just keep it there. That's the first time I even thought of that. You could just keep it there if you wanted it. You didn't even have to take it off. Huh. You don't even have to take it off. They were giving it to you as an option. I just realized that. Which makes perfect sense with the way that the concept of this pedal is. let you see it while I'm talking here. They were giving it to you as an option. I just realized that. Otherwise, take your pedal. This can stay on the bass drum hoop, but it doesn't have to. You would tighten this down and that's it. Anyway, that's the idea. Now, let me put this in there. What is unbelievably cool about this pedal, you will never see another pedal, I mean, rarely. Maybe the pedals in like the above 800 euros, you know, above 800, you know, 800, 1,000, $1,500 pedals, you'll see this kind of quality and this kind of stuff. But this pedal was selling for about 500, I think, in 1997. So that's a lot of money for a pedal, the double pedal. So anyway, so there you go, right? So that's what it looks like, and you just, this is, get my hands around this. This is on the bass drum, right? This, and this, you just come down and scoop it down, and boom, that's it. Right? It's just so amazingly looking. I think that if they had, here's the other one. There's no, you know, obviously there's no bass drum over here for the left side. This just has a huge bass plate, and it sits really, really well on the ground. It's really, really solid. I think, though, I wanted to say is, I think that if they didn't do the rubber here, I think it would have gone, it wouldn't, I think it would have made its way. I think the rubber thing was the thing that threw it, that just, drummers just didn't dig it. Because this bass drum hoop thing, I mean, all bass drum pedals, they have their hoop, their bass drum mechanism to go onto the bass drum hoop. And, you know, drummers have preferences, but I mean, I've had all different kinds, Pearl, Gibraltar, Tama, ones where you have the screw on the side, ones where it's under the pedal. I mean, if it's, they're all kind of a pain in the butt. When the ones are on the side, they generally kind of break if you force them too much. The ones underneath the pedal, you rough up your hands sometimes, but it's like, who gives a crap? You know, it's not that big of a deal. It's, you know, what's important is if the pedal, whatever the way that it's hooked onto the bass drum pedal, if it's moving or not, that's really the big deal when you're playing. If it's not centered, it'll move. The Gibraltar had one up here where you would tighten it down from here and push down. I mean, so this thing, I mean, drummers, I think we're used to kind of the experimentation of these drum companies with as to how the bass drum pedal clamps onto the hoop. And I think we could have dealt with this thing if it was also clearly advertised, I don't know how it was, that you don't have to take this off. It can constantly be permanently on the pedal like this. And then you would need a key. And that's it. I really think it was the rubber. But moving on. This pedal otherwise is phenomenal. It is an engineer's paradise of a pedal, I assume. They made it so that every single thing is adjustable. Everything. In 1997, okay, big pedal at that time was Iron Cobra was coming out, 1993. DWs, but they were not nearly as adjustable. This one was crazy. They were advertising it like the most innovative thing of bass drum pedals since the spring. So obviously you have this thing which drummers love now, and this is the best way to do it in my opinion. Hands down the best way. The screw that actually pushes into the axle, the rod there, is not a cool idea. It makes the mark and eventually slips this way, where it just clamps down, and it allows you to change the angle of this head. The angle of the beater. That's the ideal way to do it. This is just phenomenal. It's perfect. No, hands down perfect. They have it on both sides. They didn't screw you by doing it on one side. It's on both. There's the nut. It's just burning. That's the way it should be. If that wasn't enough, which generally that is, back here you have, so this is how that one screw is for the beater. Okay, these two, actually, everything is also nice. It's with a key. These adjust the beater angle yet again. Now, why is that important? Well, because if you change the position of this over here, it changes. You can see it's changing the height of the pedal. Well, let's say I want the pedal up high, but I want the beater back. So that's why. The beater is not disturbed by the height of the pedal. I can do whatever I want with that. So that is on both of them, which is really freaking awesome. And it just feels like everything is super solid. Designed on purpose for the pedal. Just really, really great engineering. There's no plastic. I don't see any plastic. There's no weird kind of crap. It's all metal. Really heavy gauge metal. Die cast stuff as well. Moving on. I'm not done yet. When you get to this part, you can change the height. If this is all the way up, you can change, it's kind of like changing whether it's a rolling glide or a power glide or eccentric pedal, or you can change the angle that you feel, like essentially the angle of the direct drive. So this would be obviously more eccentric. This would be something closer to a power glide. And it has a direct effect on this, the height. So, that's crazy. And I think you really kind of only get that availability with direct drives. You can't do that kind of thing with a chain, obviously, or a strap. So, and the way it's just engineered, there's no give, so it really feels like it'll hang, like even over time it'll just be unbelievable. So that's that. It's pretty freaking amazing. Where's it at? Right there. The metal is unbelievably durable, really, really solid metal. They did something that's kind of strange, but I guess it's not really a big deal because the metal is so solid. It's not in the center here. You would think that this should be in the center of the pedal. It's not. It doesn't seem to make a difference. Visually it's kind of off, obviously, but when you play it, it doesn't really make a difference. You don't feel that difference. I don't. But seeing it is something that's a little strange. These other two holes are not possible, so I guess it's they did this board this for whether it was right or left. They all have them. They didn't customize it. This is the right foot, etc. kind of thing. Moving on. So that's crazy. This, let's recap here. This one's just awesome. This, being able to adjust this, being able to adjust this. Everything is so unbelievably adjustable. Then, it's actually kind of like a longboard down here on this side. You undo these, and this thing can get closer, like your standard pedal. And the gentleman I had bought it from, he had them here, which, when you look at it, you go, oh, it must be the largest, the furthest away, the longest. No, it's not actually. The longest is the one here. You're pulling it this way. So it basically is a longboard, and when you hook it up like I did, yeah, you can watch what I can do with this angle. See? Now I'm going to make the board really high. Look at that. I can make the board really high. I'm going to get even higher than that. That is the beater. And now, this is a wonderful sign. If you could do this with your hand on your pedal, you have a fast, very sensitive pedal. That's the simple test that I do. If you can tap your hand and get the beater to move, your pedal is extremely sensitive. You will find that on cheaper pedals or pedals that are not geared up properly, not tuned up properly, the pedal won't react to the very light. And I'm not like banging my hand. I'm just, and it's able to react to those motions. So this is really, 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 really sensitive pedal. I wanted to get it even higher here. So if I pull this back, that's going to drop it. So let's pull it, yeah. Like this. Okay. And even higher. Let's go higher. Let's go like the ASBA pedal. What's that pedal called? I forget what that pedal's called. Look at that. Now, that's called a, what's that pedal called? The ASBA pedal. I forget what that pedal's called. I can see it. It's the way it is. It's really, really high, and it's basically a straight line. It's almost a straight line to hit to here. So what I'm looking at is, I'm looking at here to here. It's almost, I mean, it would have to, like that. I'd have to lift it up like that. You see what I'm saying? You're seeing this right here, which makes it look like it's not a straight line, but actually from that nut right there to here, see there, you get the picture. I lifted up just a few, maybe what, a centimeter, and I'm pretty much a straight line. So that means that the higher you get the board, the quicker it's going to respond, because you don't have to push your foot down to get the beater to move. Your foot, the weight, it's already there. It's like creating an iron, like the Cobra coil without having one. If you have the board up, it's always under your foot. Some people don't like this. It's a weird feeling. I can understand, but I dig it. It makes your pedal very, very fast and easy to get pockets with playing this way. So anyway, that's it. The hinge mechanism, you want to see what that looks like? Just unbelievable. Really, really. Now remember, we're talking 1997. This is something, you have all of those direct pedals, direct drives coming out now that are just absolutely crazy, heavily engineered. This one, if it wasn't for the spring and this thing, it would have really, I think it would have still been around. I definitely think it inspired a lot of other people to make pedals in this way. It's such a, it's just sad that it lost its spot, because it definitely was the innovator of the time. Premiere, with a lot of other stuff. Love Premiere. So I'm not sure if I might be selling this. I'm not sure if I want to, because it's a part of history, and I collect, and I'm a drummer, and I collect stuff, and I like the history of it. If somebody wants it, it's definitely in working order. Hit me up with an email. Let me know what kind of offer you want, what you're willing to give for it. This is another thing that's crazy. I saw this right here, right there. It's like, what is that? Well, this thing right here, you take this off, this whole bottom part comes out. Everything is literally adjustable. Just crazy. Technically speaking, I could actually put a larger bar, aluminum, in here and pull it out even further. I'm not really sure why they did that. I don't know why they did that. But anyway, it's there. Everything is literally, you can take it apart. You take the whole thing apart. There you go. Premiere EDP 300. Unbelievable pedal. I'm not sure I want to sell it. I might. Make me an offer. Oh! I forgot the biggest story of all, looking at this thing. So, this part, I was waiting for so long for this part. I bought the pedal without this part. And I was like, well, I'll be able to find that part. Yeah, I know it's old pedal, but I'll be able to find it. Looking around months. It didn't take me very long. I finally realized, well, I'll just, I'm sure in England they have them. I'm in France. I'm sure in England they have them. So I got a hold of a company in England, Good Guys, called Events with a Z. And I talked to the guy, and his name was Bill. And super, super nice. And I said, listen, do you have this part? I asked other companies, other stores. They go, sorry, dude, no, we don't have it. I got that guy, the Bill at Events. And he said, yeah, we got that part. What do you want? And I said, well, I just need, this part. He sent me the whole thing, the other part as well, right? But I just needed this. So I said, great, please send it to you. Can you send it to him? I'm in France. He's like, yeah, sure. I think I actually paid more money to ship it here than I actually paid for the part, because being in England, they're no longer in Europe, so there's the taxes to pay. Anyway, so I bought this part. Then after I bought the part, I emailed him. I said, man, he said, oh, no, he emailed me. And he said, John, listen, but I'm sorry, but he says, you're not going to believe this. He's typing this. He says, you're not going to believe this, but our post office is having a big problem. It got hacked by the Russians. And my jaw literally dropped when I read this. They said it got hacked by the Russians, post office among other things, and we can't send any deliveries outside of England for some reason. So he said, and being that your part is going outside of England, I can't send you my part, this piece. And I just was like, you gotta be kidding me, you know, because of a Russian hack, I can't get my part for Premiere. So, no, it wasn't his fault, obviously. He says, listen, I'm really sorry. He said, I'll let you know when this whole thing gets cleared up, and we'll get this to you. So I said, don't worry about it. And I waited and waited, and finally, I contacted him again. I said, any news? He said, it looks like there's a 20-day. Everything's okay now, but it looks like there's a 20-day delay of stuff leaving, so you're just gonna have to count a few more weeks before you get it. Of all, I just, like, you know, I thought all of that stuff was a joke, Russian hacking and everything, but there you go. Russian hacking kept me from having my piece from Premiere for a little bit. Anyway, funny story. So here it is, Premiere EDP 300, a phenomenal pedal, piece of your history, as Premiere often does with their drums and their stuff. More later. Keep it safe. Happy drumming. Ciao.